Hello, welcome. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Ian, and what I'll be doing is that I'll be making a series of videos on how to play the classical guitar using the FGC3-Tuning. And why am I making these videos? It's just basically to introduce this tuning to the wider audience. I have been experimenting and developing it for several years, and I think that it's gone through perhaps a phase of experimentation and evolution, but I think that it's now perhaps stabilized enough for me to start teaching how to play this tuning. So what exactly is the FGC3 tuning? It's the tuning on a guitar using the standard guitar strings, which are the E, A, D, G, B and E strings, but they've been tuned slightly differently in order to allow a different style of playing. I am aware that you can get perhaps specially pitched strings for any pitch of the scale, but I wouldn't recommend buying those strings. I'd recommend sticking to the E, A, D, G, B, E strings, but just retuning it to the actual the pitch for this tuning. So what are the pitches for this tuning? Well, the sixth string, normally when it should be the E string, it's tuned one semitone higher. So it's F instead of E. And the fifth string, it's tuned one full tone down from A to G, so it's G below middle C. And the fourth string, it's tuned one whole tone down, so it's tuned down from D, one tone down to middle C. And the third string, it's tuned down a minor third from a G to an E, so that's an E. And the second string, it's tuned one minor third down from the B to an A flat, so that's an A flat. And the first string, it's tuned a major third down from an E to a C above middle C. So that's the tuning. So it's F, G, C, E, A flat and C. And why is it called FGC3? Well, FGC3 being FGC being the bottom three strings, and 3 representing the major thirds of the top 4 strings. It just sounds a bit more catchy. And so how did this tuning, FGC3, come about? Well, I first started learning the guitar around 2004, and it was using the standard conventional E, A, D, G, B, E tuning. And I found that that it was okay playing the conventional, the normal standard chords to begin with. But I found that when I tried to play the more advanced, difficult passages, my fingers weren't long enough. So I started experimenting with different ways of how I could make it easier for myself to play more advanced passages on the guitar. So my first idea was perhaps to decrease the pitch differences between the strings to make them closer. So what I did was that I tuned the guitar strings to just all major thirds apart. And the benefit of that was that with the strings being fixed pitch apart from each other, then it's like perhaps playing on a violin or a cello, where you have the strings which are at fixed distances apart from each other. So on a violin, it's a perfect fifth apart. So supposing you have strings being major third apart, then basically you can play the same chords in different keys, and you can keep the same fingering positions and change keys whilst without having to change the positions of the fingering. So for example, we have the chord of C major here. Okay, so if you look at that the fingers there. If I shift one fret, one semitone upwards, so that's the chord of C sharp. So I can do that all the way. And without having to change the fingering position, or the relative fingering position of the fingers from each other. So I can, that's C major, and that is the dominant, which is G major, and that's F major, the subdominant. So that was the benefit of the tuning, which had the strings a major third apart, and as well as that, I could play these chords within the distance of just the width of just two frets apart. So that's the that's C major. That's C minor, and that is A flat major, A flat minor. So I can play all these chords, and they're just within the distance of just two frets. You don't need to play major minor chords which are more than 2 frets apart. So similarly, so that is the chord of F major, F minor, and then A major, A minor. So reducing the distances to major thirds greatly increased the ability to play different chords. So that was great. So I stuck with that for a few years, and as well as that, I was trying to I had like a junior-sized guitar, with which I tried to persist with playing the conventional tuning, and I used those guitar to play this tuning as well. So I persisted with the what I call the all thirds, the all major thirds tuning for a few years, but I found that I wasn't very satisfied with it eventually, for the reason that I found that because they consisted of just 3 notes, which for the open strings, basically if they were tuned, for example, to let's say with a bottom note E, then the 3 notes would just be E, A flat and C for the bottom 3, and then E, A flat and C again for the top 3, and I found that with just those 3 open strings on those 3 notes, then the sound wasn't as nice or as satisfying as normal conventional guitar, where you have the open strings on all the different notes, on E, A, D, G and B. So if I wanted to play perhaps the pedal notes, sustained long notes at the bass, then I would need to have held the actual the notes down, and it made for a very kind of stringy sound with the absence of sustained long notes that you get on a conventional guitar tuning. And as well as that, I found that that playing with that you got with the conventional guitar-sized tuning. So I started experimenting. I thought perhaps maybe I could add on additional strings to see whether I can perhaps play using the all thirds tuning, but play with with additional strings, in order to produce the long sustained notes that are so nice to listen to on a conventional tuning. So I started building instruments with more than 6 strings, so that I could play the major thirds, the all major thirds tuning in the top 6 strings, and have the sustained long notes in the open strings below the 6 top strings. So here's an example of an instrument that I made. Okay, so this was built in 2007, so it's very out of tune now, but with these top 6 strings, they were tuned to all major thirds apart, and I had the bottom 4 notes tuned to open string to provide the long sustained notes that I wanted. So I stuck with playing the 6 strings with the open strings in the bass for a few years, but eventually I found that the limitation with that was that when I tried to play the guitar and sing at the same time, or perhaps whistle at the same time, then I found that with 10 strings, I had to focus entirely on playing the strings. I found it very hard to actually sing and play the guitar with 10 strings at the same time, and I kept playing the wrong notes. And I purchased myself a 7-string guitar as well, and I found my conclusion was that that actually 6 strings is perhaps the perfect number of strings, the maximum number of strings that I personally can play the guitar and sing along at the same time. Because if it's more than 6 strings, if it's 7 strings, then I found that I had to focus on playing the 7 strings of the guitar. So so I came back to my guitar with the 6 strings, and I started working on how perhaps I could achieve the long sustained notes using just the 6 strings. So that was how I arrived at F at the bottom, G on the 5th string, and C. So that gives us the open strings on F, G, C, E, and A flat. So that's 5. Okay, so that's just a brief summary of the background and how the FGC3 tuning came about. So what are the benefits, and what's so special about the FGC3 tuning? Okay, so and I'll talk about the reasons why I think this tuning, the FGC3 tuning, is so special. Okay, so the first reason we have touched about earlier. It's to do with the open strings in the F, G, and C. So, for example, with those open strings, we can play the chords of F, C, and as well as that, the notes. The note F is a mediant or a third in the key of C sharp, and the note G is a mediant or a third in the key of E flat and E minor, and the note C is the third in the key of A flat major and A minor. So you can play those keys with the open strings as well. So for example, so this is the key of A flat major, E flat major, and this is the key of B flat major, and this is the key of C sharp major, and as well as that, the second reason is to do with the because the notes at the bottom, the last two strings, are one semitone apart. Then you can have trills in the bass, like. So that's the second reason. And the third reason is that because the top four strings are all major thirds spaced apart, then that allows for a high degree of chromaticism, like this. Or this. And so forth. And the fourth reason is you can do like a very kind of broad vibrato in the top string. So, for example, you can do this. And the reason why that can be done is because the top string is actually meant to be for the top E string in a conventional tuning, but it has been tuned down a major third to the C. So it's the tension is much less, so allowing for the much broader vibrato. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the first video, which is a basic introduction to the FGC3 tuning. In the next video, we'll start focusing on how to play the basic chords on the FGC3 tuning. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, so I look forward to see you next time. Thank you very much.